Good afternoon, class. I'm Vinaya Jaitabkar. I was taking respiration in plants for your class, and in the previous class, we have already studied about what is aerobic respiration, what is anaerobic respiration, and how the glucose is converted into different substances such as carbon dioxide, water, ethanol, or lactic acid. What are the different pathways which are followed to form these compounds? Now, in this class, we will study in detail what is glycolysis. Okay, what is glycolysis? The glycolysis itself is elaborating the term or meaning of it, that is glycus is in Greek language it means sweet or sugar, and the lysis means breakdown of something. So here glycolysis means it is a breakdown of sugar which is glucose. Okay, so breakdown of glucose into its constituent molecules is called as glycolysis. Now, this particular pathway is also called as EMP pathway. Can you see the names which are given here? These are Emden, Meyerhoff, and Parnas. And EMP are the initials of these three scientists which work for the different processes which are involved into the glycolysis. They worked on the different intermediates which occur in glycolysis, and they compiled the process which we now call as glycolytic pathway. Okay, so this particular phenomenon or this particular pathway occurs in two steps. In the first step or in the first stage, the glucose is primed or prepared for generating the energy. And in the second phase, the intermediates which are formed by the glucose will actually generate the energy rich compounds. Okay, so let us study how glucose is converted into pyruvic acid, as we have already discussed about in anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. This step of formation of pyruvic acid from glucose is common in both the kind of respiration. Now let us study in detail how this occurs. So the first step of this glycolytic pathway is starting with glucose, but we know that in plants the glucose is not directly available as a substrate. No doubt, when the photosynthesis occurs, the energy rich compound which is formed, or rather the substance, the food material which is formed is the glucose. But it will not remain in its own form inside the plant cells. It is stored or it is converted into certain other substances which are stored into the different parts of plant body. And what are these substances? These are either sugars, that is sucrose, or it is starch. We know the example of potato. In the potato is a tuber, it is a kind of stem inside which the starch is stored as a reserved food material. Okay, so when the glycolytic pathway starts, there is formation of glucose from either sucrose or from the starch. So first sucrose or starch are converted into glucose, and then glucose further enters the glycolytic pathway. Now let us study one by one how the glucose is converted into pyruvic acid. So the first step in the breakdown of glucose is conversion of glucose into glucose 6 phosphate. This is the first reaction intermediate which is formed from the glucose, and to form this intermediate there is the requirement of this ATP. So what happens here is one phosphate group is transferred to the glucose, and it will get attached to the last carbon atom of the glucose, sixth carbon atom of the glucose, and the compound which is formed is called as glucose 6 phosphate. Here the glucose is primed for the further reaction. The glucose is prepared for the further reaction, and that's why it is called as first priming reaction. Okay, now this reaction occurs in the presence of enzyme. It occurs in the presence of enzyme which is called as which is called as hexokinase. Whenever the word kinase comes, remember this enzyme is transferring phosphate to a particular substrate. Okay, the kinase enzyme, it is a kind of transferases enzyme which transfer something. What is the meaning of transferases? Which transfer something. So the kinase is a kind of transferase enzyme which generally transfers the phosphate group to the substrate. Clear? Now, from where this phosphate group comes, can you see that ATP is converted into ADP. So, adenosine triphosphate is converted into adenosine diphosphate. That means one phosphate group has been removed from ATP and that phosphate group has been transferred on the glucose, and thus there is formation of glucose 6 phosphate. Now, this particular enzyme can work in presence of Mg2 plus. Rather, many of the enzymes which are present in the glycolytic pathway work in presence of the ion Mg2 plus. How they are working? The ATP or the glycolytic intermediates or the ADP, they will be first binding with Mg2 plus to form a complex, and this complex and that is then binding to the enzyme. Okay, in this way the energy or the reaction would be carried out. Now, in the second step, the glucose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 6 phosphate, and can you see this is a reversible reaction. Okay, as we know that glucose and fructose are the isomers of each other. Both are hexose sugars. What do you mean by hexose sugars? These are the sugars containing 6 carbon atoms. Now, if we will go to the formula of glucose and fructose, they both are having the same molecular formula. It is C6H12O6. Okay, but you can see the structural formula is different. The one is the glucose is a aldehydic sugar and the fructose is a ketonic sugar. Okay, so this is called as aldohexose. Glucose is called as aldohexose. Hexose because it contains 6 carbon atoms, and the fructose is called as ketohexose. Hexose because it is also containing 6 carbon atom. Glucose is called as aldohexose because the functional group is aldehydic group, and the fructose is called as ketohexose because the functional group is ketonic group. Now, when glucose is converted into fructose, the enzyme which works for this conversion is it is phosphoglucoisomerase. Phosphoglucoisomerase. This enzyme is also called as glucose 6 phosphate isomerase. Many times the enzymes are named by the name of substrate themselves. So it can be called as glucose 6 phosphate isomerase, or they are also called as phosphoglucoisomerase. Okay, you can see the names of enzymes are even given here. What are the different enzymes which are used in the different steps, and the steps are numbered here. So it is phosphoglucoisomerase, or it is also called as glucose 6 phosphate isomerase. Now, this particular reaction is the isomerization reaction. That means glucose is converted into fructose, and fructose 6 phosphate can be converted back into glucose again. Just like other reactions of the glycolytic pathway, even this reaction involves the presence of Mg2 plus ions. Okay, so the enzyme work in presence of Mg2 plus. Okay, so in the second step, glucose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 6 phosphate by the activity of enzyme phosphoglucoisomerase. Here it is written phosphohexose isomerase. So we are writing glucoisomerase because the sugar, hexose kind of sugar here is glucose. And that's why we are writing this as phosphoglucoisomerase. And obviously this enzyme activity requires Mg2 plus. Now, in the next step, fructose 6 phosphate is taking one more phosphate from the ATP, and there is formation of another compound which is called as fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Now, where this phosphate group has been transferred, it is again transferred on the first carbon atom. Okay, and as there is involvement of another energy rich compound, that is ATP here. This is a second priming reaction or second stage in the preparatory phase where the glucose is making itself ready to generate the energy rich compounds. Okay, for that initially it is using the ATPs from the cytoplasm which are present inside the cytoplasm, and then at the end of glycolysis it is written, these ATPs are written back to the cytoplasm again. Now fructose 6 phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, this reaction is taking place. Now check out again, there is transfer of phosphate group here on the fructose. Initially one phosphate group was already there on the sixth carbon atom. Now one more phosphate group is transferred on the first carbon atom, and as we have already discussed in the first step, whenever there is transfer of phosphate group, which enzyme carry out this activity? It is kinase. Okay, and we will name this kinase from the name of the substrate. Now the substrate here is fructose, and that's why I will name this as, I will name this compound or this enzyme as, yes, it can be named as phosphofructokinase. It is known as phosphofructokinase, and just like this hexokinase which involves the presence of Mg2 plus, this particular enzyme also requires Mg2 plus for its activity. Okay, so in this step the fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate in presence of phosphofructokinase. The enzyme work in presence of Mg2 plus, and this is the second priming reaction of the glycolytic pathway. Clear? Now, there is one question that sometimes you can see that it is written as fructose 1,6 diphosphate. Okay, what is the difference between bisphosphate and diphosphate? Here, the correct terminology is bisphosphate and not the diphosphate. When the two phosphate groups are present on different carbon atoms, you can check here, the one phosphate group is present on first carbon atom and the other one is present on sixth carbon atom. When the two phosphate groups are present on two different carbon atoms, they are termed as bisphosphates. And if they both are present, both the phosphate groups are present on the same carbon atom, then they are termed as diphosphate. So remember this difference very well. Sometimes you can see this as fructose 1,6 diphosphate. In certain books, you can see this name. But the correct name is bisphosphate because both the phosphate groups are present on two different carbon atoms. Now, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is further converted into the two different sugars, two different sugars which are containing three carbon atoms. And here the six carbon compound, that is fructose, is broken down into two substances each containing three carbon atoms. So as there is breaking of this substance, this phenomenon is termed as cleavage. Okay, this phenomenon is termed as cleavage. So here there is cleavage of 6 carbon sugar phosphate to 2 3 carbon sugar phosphate. The fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, which is a 6 carbon sugar, is converted into 2 3 carbon sugars, that is glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. These are termed as, they are commonly called as, they are commonly called as, just a minute. They are commonly called as, this is known as PGAL, and this is DHAP. Can we call it as Pagal and Dhap? Okay, just a funny thing. It is Pagal and Dhap. PGAL stands for phosphoglyceraldehyde. Al stands for aldehyde. So PGAL stands for, or Pagal stands for phosphoglyceraldehyde, whose other name is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And DHAP DHAP is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Clear? So fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is broken down to give rise to PAGAL and DHAP. This PGAL is nothing but phosphoglyceraldehyde, which is named as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate also, and DHAP is named as dihydroxyacetone phosphate. And this reaction takes place in presence of enzyme which is called as aldolase. It is called as aldolase. Clear? So in this case, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is cleaved or is broken down to give rise to two important compounds. One of them is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is a 3-carbon sugar, also called as phosphoglyceraldehyde. You will remember this word as PAGAL. And the second one is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. You will remember this as DHAP. Okay. Now, in the next step, this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, these two are again isomers of each other. Glyceraldehyde, a 3-carbon sugar, and it is an aldehydic sugar, and the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is also a 3-carbon sugar and it is a ketonic sugar. Okay. Now, these two are also converted into each other. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate can be converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and the dihydroxyacetone phosphate can be converted back into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And the reaction is carried out by, now I will write this as double-headed arrow, which will indicate the reversible reaction. And this is carried out, this particular reaction is carried out by the enzyme which is called as triose phosphate isomerase. The enzyme is named as triose phosphate isomerase. Triose is 3-carbon sugar containing phosphate, and this isomerase will carry out the isomerization of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into dihydroxyacetone phosphate, as well as dihydroxyacetone phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This step 5 is the end of the first phase, which is called as a preparatory phase. Okay, this is end of first phase, which is called as preparatory phase of glucose for the glycolysis. In the preparatory phase, as we know that glucose is preparing or priming itself for generating the energy rich compound in the form of ATP and NADH. Now, in the initial case, in the first half of the glycolytic pathway, as we have seen, glucose is first converted into glucose 6-phosphate. This is the first priming step in the glycolytic pathway, in which the ATP is giving a 1-phosphate group to the glucose and thereby converting it into glucose 6-phosphate, and the ATP itself is getting converted into ADP. This process is carried out by the enzyme hexokinase. As we have already discussed, kinase is a kind of enzyme which is a type of transferases enzymes. What do you mean by transferases? Which transfers something, and the kinase will transfer the phosphate group. So the kinase enzyme will transfer the phosphate group on the substrate, that is glucose. Glucose 6-phosphate is then converted reversibly into the fructose 6-phosphate. Glucose and fructose are isomers of each other, and therefore the enzyme is phosphoglucoisomerase or phosphohexoisomerase. And for the activity of this particular enzyme, there is requirement of Mg2 plus ions. In the glycolytic pathway, to transfer the phosphate group on the intermediate as well as on ATP, there is requirement of this particular Mg2 plus ion. Now, in the next step, fructose 6-phosphate will be converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate by addition of one more phosphate on the first carbon atom. This is the second priming step in the glycolytic pathway, and it occurs by transferring 1 phosphate from ATP to the fructose 6-phosphate. It will go and bind to the first carbon atom of fructose, and the compound is termed as fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Now, this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is further converted, or it is actually cleaved to form glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is a 3-carbon sugar, 3-carbon aldehydic sugar. You can remember this as PAGAL. And the another sugar is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. You can remember this as DAP. Okay. Glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone again are isomers of each other, just like glucose and fructose. So this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and vice versa by the enzyme triose phosphate isomerase, and formation of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate is the end of first step, that is preparatory step of glycolysis. Now, the second stage is the payoff phase, where the energy rich molecules are generated from the glycolytic intermediates. So we have already studied that in the first step, that is in the preparatory phase, there is formation of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. But the next step or the next process will be occurring from, or which is occurring in which the substrate is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So what happens to the dihydroxyacetone phosphate? The dihydroxyacetone phosphate is also converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate by the activity of enzyme triose phosphate isomerase, and that glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate also take part in glycolytic pathway further. And therefore, can you see here, it is written 2. 2 means the one which is originally generated from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and the other one is converted from the dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Now, the second step is the payoff phase, where oxidative conversion of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is occurs to form the pyruvate, and the reactions coupled for the formation of ATP and NADH. Now, in the first step of payoff phase, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate or 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid. They might have understood why it is written as bis, because the two phosphate groups are present on two different carbon atoms, one on first and another on third carbon atom. Now check out, this is oxidation and phosphorylation. But if the phosphorylation is occurring, you can see here there is only one phosphate, and in the product there are two phosphate groups, and we cannot see any ATP here. Okay, so here the energy or the phosphate group is transferred, that is, it is an inorganic phosphate, and it comes from the inorganic substance, that is H3PO4. What is this? It is phosphoric acid, and this pyrophosphate, you can see here, this phosphate is transferred from this phosphate, phosphoric acid, to the substrate, and thus glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Now, this conversion is carried out by a complex of enzymes which is called as dehydrogenase. So, the name of the enzyme is written by taking the help of substrate. So, the name of the enzyme is, yes, it is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. What is meaning of dehydrogenation? You can call it as removal of hydrogen, and removal of hydrogen is also called as reduction. Is it clear? Or removal of oxygen is called as reduction. Removal of hydrogen is called as oxidation. It is dehydrogenase. Dehydrogenase means it is removal of hydrogen, and removal of hydrogen is called as oxidation. And addition of hydrogen is called as reduction. Clear? So dehydrogenation means removal of hydrogen, which is called as oxidation. You can see this word here. It is oxidation and phosphorylation. Oxidation, you can analyze with the help of these two substances also, we know that aldehyde is converted into acid after oxidation only. We have studied this topic in chemistry in aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids, in which aldehydes are converted into carboxylic acid by oxidation reaction. You can take either the help of that um, I mean, KMnO4, alkaline KMnO4, that is potassium permanganate, or you can use acidified potassium dichromate to convert glyceraldehyde or rather aldehyde into the carboxylic acid. So here, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid or 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate by addition of one more phosphate, which is taken from the phosphoric acid, and here NAD is converted into NADH. Okay, so here NAD is reduced to NADH and this hydrogen is removed from this H3PO4. Okay, and that's why dehydrogenase enzyme is working here. Okay, so NAD plus is converted into NADH in this reaction, and the reaction is carried out by the enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Now, this 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is further converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. You can see here one phospho or one phosphate group has been removed out from the substrate, and this phosphate group is transferred to the ADP with, and this way the ADP is converted into ATP. So this ADP will take one phosphate group from the substrate and it is converted into ATP. So let me write this as plus Pi. This is inorganic phosphate which is coming from the substrate 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Here the ATP is formed, so it is the first step in which adenosine triphosphate, that is energy rich molecule in the form of ATP, is formed. NADH molecule is also an energy rich molecule which is formed in the first step of second stage of glycolysis. Okay, now as the phosphate group has been transferred to the ADP directly from the substrate, this type of reaction is called as substrate level phosphorylation. Okay, what is the meaning of substrate level phosphorylation? The inorganic phosphate is transferred to ADP directly from the substrate and there is formation of ATP here. Okay, so this is first energy forming reaction which is called as substrate level phosphorylation, and the reaction occurs in presence of, now as we know, if the phosphate group is transferred, there is enzyme working called as kinase, and here we will name the enzyme with the help of the substrate, its own substrate, that is phosphoglycerokinase. It is phosphoglycerokinase, or it is also called as phosphoglycerate kinase. And as we know that the phosphoglycerate kinase or all the kinases require Mg2 plus for their action. So here also there is requirement of Mg2 plus for the completion of reaction. Okay, so here this phosphoglycerate kinase carries out conversion of 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate to 3-phosphoglycerate, and this is the first step which is forming ATP in the glycolytic pathway. Clear to all? Now in the next step, 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate. So can you see here? The substrates are remaining same, only the phosphate group has been transferred from third position to the second position. And this is carried out by the enzyme which is known as phosphoglyceromutase. Phosphoglyceromutase or phosphoglycerate mutase. Both the names can be given to this enzyme, phosphoglyceromutase or phosphoglycerate mutase. And even this enzyme requires the presence of Mg2 plus ions for its activity. Whenever we are writing Mg2 plus, that means Mg2 plus is actually binding to the substrate and this substrate is then binding to the enzyme. Okay, so these glycolytic intermediates bind with Mg2 plus to form a complex, and this complex then binds to the active site of respective enzyme. Okay, so 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate by the activity of enzyme phosphoglyceromutase, which involves the presence of Mg2 plus. No energy is formed in this reaction, and there is simply transfer of phosphate group from third carbon atom to the second carbon atom. Now the next reaction is very important, that is conversion of 2-phosphoglycerate into phosphoenol pyruvate. Now in this case the water molecule is removed out. Therefore this particular reaction is termed as, removal of water is generally called as dehydration reaction. Okay, it is known as dehydration reaction. So while converting 2-phosphoglycerate into phosphoenol pyruvate, there is removal of water, and this reaction is carried out by the enzyme which is called as enolase. The enzyme is called as enolase, and as the water molecule has been removed out, the reaction is termed as dehydration reaction. And in the last step of glycolytic pathway, the phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvic acid, which is the last substance or the last product of glycolytic pathway. In this case, again, one phosphate group has been removed from the substrate and it binds to the ADP. I will write this as ADP plus Pi is giving rise to ATP, and here this phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate. This is the second step in which there is formation of ATP, and as the phosphate is directly taken from the substrate, as the phosphate is directly coming from the substrate onto the ADP, it is called as substrate level phosphorylation. Clear? Why it is called as substrate level phosphorylation? Because in both the cases, in this particular case and in this particular case, the phosphate which is transferred on ADP is taken directly from the substrate, and such reactions are called as substrate level phosphorylation. And obviously again when we are transferring phosphate, again we will take the help of kinase, and this particular enzyme is known as pyruvate kinase. It is known as pyruvate kinase. If you know the activity of enzymes, you can particularly use the enzyme in a particular reaction. Okay, so here we are using pyruvate kinase, and this is the last step into the glycolytic pathway. Okay, so the second step, let us check out again. The second step is called as payoff step, in which the glycolytic intermediates form the energy-rich compound, that is ATP and NADH. The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is formed from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, is further giving another glycolytic intermediates which are responsible for formation of energy-rich molecules such as NADH and ATP. So the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is first converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate in the active by the activity of enzyme glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. The phosphate group which has been transferred here is taken from the inorganic substance, that is phosphoric acid, and this process is known as oxidation and phosphorylation, because here aldehyde is oxidized to carboxylic acid. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is oxidized to give rise to 1,3-bisphosphoglyceric acid or 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. This 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is further converted into 3-phosphoglycerate, in which one of the phosphate from the substrate has been transferred to ADP, where ADP is converted into ATP. This is the first step in which the ATP is formed, and this reaction is known as substrate level phosphorylation. Reaction occurs in presence of phosphoglycerokinase, and it requires the activity of Mg2 plus ion. 2-phosphoglycerate is further 3-phosphoglycerate, sorry, is further converted into 2-phosphoglycerate. Here there is only a transfer of phosphate group from third position to the second position, and the energy of this enzymatic reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme phosphoglyceromutase, which takes the help of Mg2 plus for its activity. 2-phosphoglycerate is further converted into phosphoenol pyruvate by the activity of enzyme enolase, and as the water is removed here, it is known as dehydration reaction. And in the last reaction, phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate. Again, here one phosphate group from the substrate has been transferred to the ADP, so that there is formation of ATP. As the phosphate is directly taken from the substrate, this reaction is also called as substrate level phosphorylation. And as we know, if there is transfer of phosphate group, this reaction is called as, sorry, the enzyme which is used in this reaction is called as pyruvate kinase. And as we know that whenever there is activity of kinase, we require the presence of Mg2 plus. Now, along with Mg2 plus here, for the activity of pyruvate kinase, there is requirement of one more ion, which is K plus, and along with K plus, there is requirement of either Mg2 plus, both the ions can work or they can carry out the reaction here. Either magnesium 2 plus ions are required, or manganese 2 plus ions are required. For the activity of this enzyme, along with potassium ions, Mg2 plus or Mn2 plus ions are required. Now, everywhere you can see after glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, and after that for each intermediate 2 is written. What does it mean? One glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate was directly generated from the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and another is formed from the dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Okay, so actually when they are taking part in payoff phase, 2 glyceraldehyde 3 phosphates take part in this step, and therefore in you can see everywhere 2,2 is written. In one step of glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate into 1,3 bisphosphate phosphoglycerate conversion, one NAD plus is converted into one NADH. But as we are using two molecules of each substrate, whatever is formed, that we are showing by in 2,2 forms, or in the duplet. Okay, so here NAD plus are converted into NADH. So in the payoff phase, we can see that two NADH molecules are formed. These two and these two, in all 4 ATPs are formed, and 2 water molecules are formed. Okay, in your NEET examination, mainly the question will be asked on these things. How many NADH are formed? They are 2. How many ATP are formed? They are 4. And how many water molecules are formed? They are 2. Now, let us check what is the net gain of ATP in the glycolysis. Now, we know that whatever ATPs are generated, these are generated in the payoff phase only. Check out here, these two and these two, total 4 ATPs are generated. One NADH molecule is equivalent to 2 ATPs. One NADH molecule is it is equivalent to 3 ATPs. One NADH molecule is equivalent to 3 ATPs. That means 2 NADH molecules are equivalent to 6 ATPs, right? So if there is formation of 2 NADH molecules, that means there is formation of 6 ATP molecules. Okay, so let us check once again what is the net gain of ATP. 2 NADH equivalent to 6, 6 plus 2, 8, 8 plus 2, 10. But in the previous phase, that is in the preparatory phase, we have taken 2 ATPs per glucose molecule from the cytoplasm, right? I have taken 2 ATP molecules from the cytoplasm, which I need to return back. Okay, so after formation of my ATPs or my energy rich products, the ATPs which were taken from the cytoplasm are given back to it. Fine. In all, there was formation of 10 ATPs, 6 from NADH, 2 from here, that is 8, and 2 from this step, that is 10. But we have given 2 ATPs to the cytoplasm, which we have used in the preparatory phase. So what is the net gain of ATP after the glycolysis? It is 10 minus 2. So the net gain of ATP is 8. So we can say that at the end of glycolysis, there is formation of 8 ATPs. Okay, there is formation of 8 ATPs. Now, we have already seen in aerobic respiration in the previous class. In aerobic respiration, there are in all 38 ATPs generated. Okay, in the aerobic respiration, in all 38 ATPs are generated, out of which 8 ATPs are formed by the glucose when it is converted into pyruvic acid. So in this first step of conversion of glucose into pyruvic acid, 8 ATPs are generated. How they are generated? We have just discussed. Okay, so in the first phase of glycolysis, which is called as preparatory phase, 2 ATPs are utilized. 2 ATPs are taken from the cytoplasm to form the two important compounds, that is 3 carbon sugars, glyceraldehyde free phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. And in the second phase, that is in the payoff phase, the ATPs are generated. The energy rich molecules such as ATP and NADH are generated, which are becoming equivalent to 10 ATPs. One NADH is equivalent to 3 ATP, and therefore 2 NADH are equivalent to 6 ATP. 6 plus 2, 8, 8 plus 2, 10, but we have written 2 ATPs back to the cytoplasm, and that's why the net gain of ATP is 8. Clear to all? Now, the another question which can be asked in entrance examination is about the general names of glycolytic intermediates. Okay, so the glucose 6 phosphate is commonly called as Robinson's ester. Glucose 6 phosphate is called as Robinson's ester. Fructose 6 phosphate is called as Newberg's ester. Fructose 6 phosphate is called as Newberg's ester, and fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is called as Harden and Young's ester. So you can expect any one of these questions in NEET. They will give you the name of the yeast ester and they will give you the different intermediates of the glycolytic pathway. You need to choose the correct intermediate which is known by that particular name. So glucose 6 phosphate is called as, or it is known as, Robinson's ester. Fructose 6 phosphate is known as Newberg's ester, and fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is known as Harden and Young's ester. Okay, so this is the complete glycolytic pathway, which is also termed as EMP pathway, as we have seen. In this pathway, there are two steps. First is preparatory phase and the second is payoff phase. In the preparatory phase, the glucose primes or prepares itself for generating the energy rich molecules, and in the payoff phase, the glycolytic intermediates actually generate the energy rich products. Now, what is the importance of glycolysis in the cell? Why glycolysis is very, very important? The first and very important thing is that you can see here the glycolytic intermediates are responsible for generation of energy rich compounds, and we know that still there are 30 ATPs which are left or they are to be produced. Who is the substrate for the production of those ATPs? Definitely pyruvate. This pyruvate will be further entering into the new sites of reaction, and this will be generating the ATPs further in the next steps. Okay, so this glycolysis is very, very important because it will be generating the energy rich substances. Now, the importance of glycolysis can be explained in three terms, or glycolytic intermediates. How they're important, they can be expressed in two steps, or they are expressed in two ways. First one, once the glycolytic intermediates are formed, as we know that glycolysis is occurring inside the cytoplasm, so these glycolytic intermediates will be remaining into the cytoplasm itself. As we know that these glycolytic intermediate concentration will be more in cytoplasm as compared to outside the cell. So there is a chance that these will flow from their higher concentration to their lower concentration, that is from inside the cell to outside the cell. But this is not happening. Why this cannot happen? Because these all substances, as you can see, are the phosphorylated substances. Everywhere there is formation, there is presence of phosphate group. And due to the presence of phosphate group, they cannot be transferred outside the plasma membrane, as plasma membrane are not having those substances which transfer that those phosphorylated intermediates out of the cell. Okay, so the transporters which are responsible for transfer of these glycolytic intermediates outside the cells are not present on the plasma membrane, and that's why they will remain inside the cytoplasm itself, though their concentration is more inside the cytoplasm as compared to outside the cell. So initially, once these phosphorylated compounds are formed, no further energy is required to retain them into the cytoplasm. Okay, as no transporter proteins are present on the plasma membrane, they will be automatically remaining into the cytoplasm itself, and they will carry out the subsequent reactions to form the energy rich compounds. This is first very important thing. Second important thing is that they all are forming the energy rich compounds, as you can see in the glycolytic pathway, and as we will further study in the Krebs cycle as well as in the oxidative phosphorylation. These all intermediates are responsible for formation of energy rich compounds. Okay, so these glycolytic pathways are useful for generating energy also. Clear? And the another third very important thing is that why we use catalyst, you know that we are generally reducing the activation energy, we are decreasing the activation energy. In all the steps we have discussed that these phosphorylated substances are first binding to Mg to form the complex. Okay, these particular phosphorylated substances, they are binding with Mg2 plus ion to form a complex, and this binding energy will be reducing the activation energy, and that's why it is easy for the enzyme to carry out the appropriate action. Okay, you know that when the activation energy is reduced, the rate of the reaction is increased. Okay, so the formation of Mg2 plus and phosphorylated substance complex will reduce the activation energy, because this binding energy is releasing certain energy which is responsible for decreasing the activation energy, and thus the reaction is carried out very easily. Clear? So these are the three importance of glycolytic intermediates. First, though its concentration is more inside the cell than outside the cell, they are not transferred outside because there are no transporters on the plasma membrane which can transfer the phosphorylated substances from the cytoplasm. Second, these all intermediates can form the energy rich molecules, and that's why they are important for the cell. And the third one is that for each particular reaction, Mg2 plus will bind with the phosphorylated substance to form the complex which will decrease the activation energy, and the reaction is carried out very easily. Clear to all? So this is all about glycolysis. In the next class, we will discuss certain MCQs which were asked in NEET examination in the previous year's question papers, and we will discuss certain questions of aerobic and anaerobic respiration also. I hope you understood the process of glycolysis. Okay, and please remember these all steps, because in NEET from all the steps the question will be asked. Okay, I hope you like today's lecture. In next class we will meet again with MCQs based on glycolytic pathway as well as based on aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Thank you so much, students. Thank you all.